It began on August the 9th with the killing of Michael Brown, an unarmed African-American teenager, at the hands of a white policeman. Peaceful demonstrations turned into looting and all hell broke loose. Missouri pulled out local police and sent in state officers, but the rioting only paused. It didn't stop. Perhaps, say analysts, that's because it's driven by a deep anger that will take a long time to calm.
A concern on the part of too many minority communities that law enforcement is not working with them and dealing with them in a fair way.
When Trayvon Martin, another unarmed black American teen, was shot dead in Florida in 2012, Obama had this to say.
This could have been my son. Another way of saying that is Trayvon Martin could have been me 35 years ago.
We are going to demand justice, that George Zimmerman is arrested, that he is prosecuted, that he is convicted, and we will not tolerate these egregious acts that happen in this country ever again.
But all this did nothing to help convict Trayvon Martin's killer, George Zimmerman, a member of a local neighborhood watch who was acquitted of second-degree murder and manslaughter last year. Also off the hook is a New York police officer who choked 46-year-old Eric Garner to death. His crime? Allegedly selling untaxed cigarettes. His last words are reported to have been, "I can't breathe."
I can't breathe.
In a case 3 weeks ago, 28-year-old Akai Gurley was shot dead by a police officer on a dimly lit staircase in a New York apartment block.
Shut it down! Shut it down!
And so, America once again finds itself in the grip of race riots that have spread countrywide. It's nothing new. Few can forget the Rodney King incident nearly 24 years ago, when 5 white officers beat King up after a high-speed car chase while other policemen watched. A witness videotaped the incident from his balcony. The officers were acquitted, which triggered the 1992 LA race riots, in which more than 50 people died. King famously appealed for calm.
I just want to say, you know, can we all get along? Can we get along?
That was more than 20 years ago, and still America, even under a black president, hasn't dealt with its racial demons. Obama and his team say things are better than they once were.
I wouldn't say that we've exploded in race-based riots right now, but I would say that there is an explosion of awareness throughout the country and throughout the globe of the situations that young people of color are subjected to, not just in the United States, but in far too many places when interacting with law enforcement, when interacting with authority. So this exposes many fault lines, but you yourself know that here in South Africa in the last decade, you've had about a 300% increase in police brutality cases, and only 1 out of 100 of those cases actually being adjudicated. So there are similarities not only in the arc of the struggle, but in the failure for some communities to receive adequate redress.
President Obama himself has mentioned his personal experiences with regards to this matter. Yes. And questions are being raised about why this has not been done.
And I'll tell you what one of the signs of progress is. When I was 17 years old and involved with a number of demonstrations against police brutality, the people who were protesting with me looked like me, came from my community, and only shared the same exact experiences that I had. But when I look at the protests today, not only in New York, but in places like Anchorage, Alaska, I see young white Americans who are stepping forth and saying, you know, we haven't experienced this directly, but we know that this didn't materialize out of thin air, and there are some things that are happening here that are not right, and collectively we've got to do something about that.
There has been some criticism of how President Barack Obama has dealt.
He's president. There's criticism of him if the sun doesn't come up in the morning.
True. But one of the activists who actually was at the Oval Office to hand over these grievances was quoted as having said, "It hurts that he didn't seem to want to go out there and acknowledge that he understands our pain. It would be a great mark on his presidential legacy if he would come out and touch an issue that everyone is scared of touching."
Well, clearly, if the president invites not establishment leaders, but young activists like that young activist into the most important office in the United States of America, our Oval Office, clearly he's reaching out directly. And I can tell you that from his time when he was a state senator in Chicago, we in civil society in America could count on a young Barack Obama, a pre-gray-haired Barack Obama, to pass legislation in the Chicago State House to make sure that police interrogations were videotaped, to make sure there were consequences if our young people were illegally profiled. He's carried that spirit and that determination into the Oval Office. He is still that young man who knows that we are not great as a country unless every single one of our citizens feels as if they are operating in and living and playing in a fair world.
That's all from us this week. Please do give us your feedback. Our Twitter handle is @checkpoint_eNCA. Thanks for watching. From Nyameni in the Eastern Cape, I'm Nkepile Mabuse.